a good death? Hi, everyone. Suzanne O'Brien. Welcome to the podcast. This is going to be a really informative podcast about what makes a good death. I'm being asked that all of the time. If you don't know, I wrote a book. There it is, The Good Death. And it's something that I have spent the last 20 years helping families have the good death. So obviously people are asking, Suzanne, what does it mean to have a good death? So we're going to break it all down in this podcast. So welcome to the Good Death Podcast. Ask a Death Doula. Okay. So what is a good death and what does that mean? And what are the components that make it a good death? And so there's two main categories to this. So I want to share with you that there are two very distinct categories that are at play here. And I want to answer your questions all about them because there's a practical side of what makes a good death. And we're going to cover that first. And then there's a bigger vision side. There is a higher power, a bigger vision, a emotional component to this journey. So first, let's take a deep breath because I understand how heavy this topic and question can be. So let's just take a deep breath in and then out through our nose. Breathe in through our nose and out through our mouth and just really get settled into the heart space before we venture into this beautiful topic of a good death. I know how difficult this topic is for people, and I know how fearful a lot of people are about the death experience conversation. But I want to remind you that this is the truth. Death used to be revered as a sacred rite of passage, something to be revered, something to be honored with ceremony, with gratitude, with ritual. In all religions, in all cultures, for thousands of years. We just forgot. We just forgot. And that forgetting is devastating. So that forgetting, the removal of it, a few different factors have turned death into the ultimate enemy. And it should be anything but. In fact, when you befriend death, it's your greatest teacher about how to live. It's taught me everything, knowing that one day the journey as I know it will not be the same, allows me to live my life through a different lens, a lens of heart-guided focus, guidance, a different level of gratitude for everything in my life. No longer is it, oh, I have to go to the gym. It's I get to go to the gym. It's not, I have to go to the grocery store. I get to go to the grocery store. I physically get to go there and I have money to go there. What gratitude and what thanks I give for that. When you elevate your level of gratitude, your whole life is elevated. The frequency in which you live is elevated. You don't miss the day. You don't miss the small, beautiful moments. Walking your dog, saying hi to people, the sun on your face, all of the butterfly that went by, you don't miss it. Because most people get to the end of their life and they regret that they missed it. So let's go into the practical side of what makes a good death. So just from a practical standpoint, you want to decide for yourself what quality of life means to you subjectively. And this is one of the most important things you will do because it will be your benchmark for when you choose to have advanced treatments. And that's really the wrong word. Advanced procedures and things to extend your life. If there's no quality of their life there, if there's no joy, if there's no quality, if you're in pain or suffering, or you don't recognize people, or you can't walk, or all the things, you can't feed yourself, all the things that to me are benchmarks of quality of life. If those aren't there, why would I put myself through procedures and things to keep breathing and my heart beating if there's no quality any longer for myself? That seems like it doesn't make sense, does it? But I have to decide what that benchmark is for me, so that when I inevitably get to, if I'm lucky enough to age and to have, the decline of this beautiful gift that we've been given to have this journey in, and I can get to a place where the quality of life is now not there. Some people have sudden end of lives. They don't have the options. And, we know that we don't know how that's going to go. But being prepared for when, if I'm lucky enough again to have the aging process and to naturally decline, where is that benchmark? And where would I want to then focus on tight symptom management, being comfortable, so that when that time comes, I've already thought about that I'm not making decisions based on fear. I'm not making decisions based on pressure from family members. I've already subjectively deemed what quality of life means to me. I've let my family know that. I've let my medical practitioners know that. I know that. So here we are. So I want you to think about that as well. So here are some questions that may help you decide what quality of life is to you. Can you recognize your loved ones? Can you feed yourself? Are you able to be mobile? Can you do your own self-care, brush your teeth, clean yourself, bathe? These are really, really strong benchmarks for quality of life. And when you're not able to do those things, like, again, I use myself as the example, then I do not want measures to keep my life extended when there's no quality. But I do want to be kept comfortable and loved and all of the beautiful things that are available to us. So that is one of the most important practical things. The second one is, at the end of life, I would like to be cared for in the following way. Where do I want to be? And I'll tell you right now, 9 out of 10 people say they want to be at home. Who do I want to do the care? How comfortable do I want to be? How warm do I want to be? Where do I want my pain level to be? And usually it's a 3 or 4 or below. What do I want to eat? Like, you have choices. Do I want my pets with me? Of course. Let your family know this. Give them the guidance of what's important, of how they can care for you at this precious time. So all of the beautiful things. Do you want your hair brushed? Do you want your nails done? Do you want reflexology? Do you see how we're taking a part of the journey that many times is looked at as a complete loss of control and making it an empowered experience now? I want to share a story. I was at the WBUR festival doing a talk in Boston, and I was able to do a talk with a fellow author, Sebastian Younger, and he's the author of The Perfect Storm. So you might know that was made into a movie, big time war reporter and author, but he had his own end of life experience suddenly, and it was sudden. He had pain in his stomach one day. He gets to the hospital. There's bleeding happening that's uncontrollable internally. And at one point, the doctor said, within, hours, you're going to have your end of life. And he was so caught off guard, as you can imagine. And he said, I just have stomach pain. You're telling me that I'm going to have my end of life. And he was very close to his end of life. There was a very slim chance that they were able to do something that could save his life. However, he was at the threshold, and I think he crossed the threshold a bit, which a lot of people say. He talked about this experience he had, and he says he's an atheist, and, he didn't think in these terms, but he said that night in the ICU in Boston, a nurse came in and said to him, could you think of this as a sacred experience? What was happening to him? And obviously he was in shock, and he was at the threshold of, maybe they still didn't know if he was going to actually live. But she put in his awareness the possibility of changing his perspective of what he was experiencing. And she said, could you think of what's happening here as a sacred experience? And she left. And he started to think of it that way. And he started to shift. And this is what I want to invite you at the beginning of this podcast. We've simply forgot that death is not something to be feared, that it's something that has been thought of and revered as a sacred rite of passage, a beautiful experience into the next part of our journey, which my patients will confirm over and over and over again. And we've lost all awareness of that in our lives today. And so what I want to invite you at the beginning of this podcast and confirm by Sebastian Junger, could you think of death as a sacred experience? And here's what he goes on to say. After he got better, he was asking people in the hospital to find that nurse to tell him he wanted to meet with her again because she had such an imprinting on him to change his perception. And nobody knew this nurse. They said, we don't have anyone on staff that looks like that was on staff that night. There is no one that fits that description. So what do you think happened there? I know what I think happened there. And I'm going to rephrase that. It's not what do I think, what do I know? There are times in your life that angels, higher power will come in to help guide you in these moments. And that was one of them. And so hearing him talk of this and my patients, I mean, the beautiful spiritual things that happen all of the time. Angels coming, people that have died already coming back to help cross them over. What they're seeing, Suzanne, this is what I see where I'm going. Don't be afraid. It's beautiful. Why are we afraid? How did we get to this place? So I love sharing that, but you want to, from a practical standpoint, you want to be thinking about ahead of time where this beautiful sacred transition will take place for you. Where do you want it to be and how do you want it to look? You know, in the Doula Givers training, we talk about setting a sacred space, creating a sacred space for this transition, soft background music, dim lighting or battery operated candles, aromatherapy, talking softly, gentle touch, letting pets be present, creating a sacred space. How do you want loved ones to treat you? I remember when Mary, in our book, we talk about Mary who had her end of life happen in her late 30s. She was the epitome of life itself, and everyone, when she was terminal, fell apart. And she was telling people, this is the rock star that she is. She was telling people how to treat her, what to say, what not to say. How do you want people to treat you? With dignity, with respect, with love, with non-judgment, with kindness, compassion, with joy. Tell stories. What is important? Give them direction. These are choices that you have. Now, of course, you want to make sure that you have your wishes in writing and that you've chosen someone that can speak your wishes for you if you can't choose, speak for yourself at the time. What do you want your family to know? So when we talk about this final transition and it's a transition, this is my belief system, is that you're just changing form, that your loved one is changing form, that they are still with you, that you still have a relationship with them, that the love is stronger maybe than it's been even before they transitioned because they're back to their pure self. Yes, so there's not that ability to give them a big hug in this moment, but they're still part of your life. They can't not be. In this physical goodbye, what do you want people to know? And here's a doula giver's pearl for you. Do not wait. Do not wait to the end of life to say you're sorry, to give forgiveness, to let people know how much you love them, to approach somebody if they hurt you, to clear that energy. Do not wait. Very, very important because we don't know Many times when there is a sudden end of life, you hear people and they say, I wish I knew that was the last time I was going to see her. I would have said X, Y, and Z. Say it now, say it loud, sing it from the rooftops. We just don't know, right? So you just don't know how many days we have. So, we want to make sure that we're using each day. I treat each day like one little lifetime. And I want to make sure that at the time when a transition comes, I'm able to say, okay, as best I can. And I hope that for you. I wish that for you as well. So again, when we don't choose where we want to be at the end of life, it goes into default. And that default is usually the medical treadmill, what I call the medical treadmill. How much sleep and comfort do you think happens in the hospital? In fact, quite the opposite. The beeping, the overhead lights, the noise, the announcements. I mean, it's the last place that you get rest, right? Isn't that ironic that you're not well and that's the last place you get rest? So you want to make sure that you choose, because this is your journey and your family and needs to know how to support you, but also you should have exactly what you want. What do you want to happen at the time of your transition? What I will say to you is to really advocate for your family to slow down and take that time in. It has dramatically helped the grief and bereavement. But what I also want to share is that give them the guidance, because they are here. They are probably overwhelmed, full of, a lot of emotions, fear, grief, all of it. Give them a roadmap on how to navigate through this. I want to stay home. For me, I'm going to do a 3-day home wake for myself so that people have time to process, that people can come in. There can be celebration. There can be music. There can be just different things that are planned in that space. And we know that from history, the 3-day home wake has been transformative for people. Transformative. So that's what I'm going to request that my family does and give them guidance on how to do that. What do you want? And so I would say at the minimum, please have your family slow down and take hours to be present and take in this moment. It will help their grief and bereavement dramatically. But there's so many amazing choices that we have. What about where you want to be laid to rest? Where do you want this vehicle, this beautiful gift that you've been given? Do you want to enhance the Earth globe? Yeah. Do you want to be part of that again? Do you want to enrich it? I do. Water cremations, natural burials, human composting. All choices that give back to the planet, the ecosystem that we are all a part of. You have choices. They're also financially very sound. Choose what you want and let your families know that you've made that choice so they can just follow your direction. What do you want for a life celebration? How do you want people to celebrate? Do you want to do your eulogy in first person? All of these practical things, and they're very, very beautiful. And ongoing honoring, to say that we have 2 weeks after somebody has their end of life and then people should be over it and have closure. It doesn't work that way, and it doesn't need to. Do you want people to celebrate on an annual basis on your birthday? Or maybe one of the holidays was really special to you, or maybe on your anniversary of your graduation into your second birth of end of life. Do you want people to get together and to celebrate you? You have all these choices. Have it ongoing. We are one choice away from having our loved one with us at all times. Don't be in the false understanding that death is final, just of the gift of the body you've been given. And so all of the love, all of the memories, your loved one exists. All you have to do is feel them around you, is bring them into your heart, is have those memories. It's just a different relationship now. And so getting back to the sacred truth of end of life is what is going to change this for us. So when we come to the end of the journey, we have the roadmap, we have made choices, and hopefully, again, we're not waiting for that last minute to have these conversations with loved ones, to let them know what's important, with forgiveness and with all of the things that are part of the life's journey. Don't wait to that moment. So that's from the practical side, and then giving them the blueprint of how to care for you in that last phase of life, and then of course after the actual transition and for your life celebration. Now let's go big vision into a good death. People say, Suzanne, what makes a good death? And I'm going to tell you this: a good death is a good life. But what does that mean? What does that truly mean? So I'm going to share with you what I believe. And this is what my patients say as well. You had a choice coming into this existence, into this journey. I know. Sounds interesting, right? And you might say to yourself, I would have never chosen this journey, because it can be really hard, right? I do know that the school of life is super hard, but it doesn't have to be. But I also know when my patients are getting ready to leave and they get their spiritual eyes and their spiritual wisdom, they say, I get it now. I understand. I chose that. I chose my parents. I chose my gender. I chose the journey I was going to go on for the opportunity to learn X, Y, and Z. And when I hear that and I think about, wow, okay, so we chose this in order to expand and grow and have this experience as consciousness through this vehicle known as Suzanne. The challenges that I've gone through for the opportunity for expansion and spiritual growth of my consciousness. Wow, when I understand that was a choice, it's a whole different perspective over it. But then also for me to teach you from a spiritual teacher position of what I've learned from the end of life and what I've applied to my own life, is that what makes a good life is understanding that you are here for a reason, that you have purpose, that you have a gift that you came into this journey with to share, to make the world a better place. Are you aligned with that gift? Are you sharing that gift and that purpose? Because if we're living in the human, so you are a human being, if we're living in the human of robotic ways of living, of what we've been taught, of what society says, of what our parents want us to do, of what is deemed to make a good life or what's a good person, we're missing the true connection of fulfillment. Where is your heart guiding you to go? Because at the end of life, most of my beautiful patients have said, oh, they didn't live, the regret that they didn't follow the heart consciousness. So for a good end of life is for you to align with your calling, with your gift of why you're here. And it's going to be unique to each and every one of us. But when you align with that, it's like breathing air for the first time. There is a fulfillment and a connectedness that you cannot achieve any other way but aligning with your higher guidance system of your heart's calling. And when you do, and when you're living from that space, you're making a difference every day. You're holding a frequency of love for the world. So when the day comes, when this beautiful journey we've been gifted is going to change, we would all be able to say, okay, and have that good death. So I want you to know that this is how life works. This is the wisdom from end of life patients. I have applied this to my own life, and my life is so fulfilled, so aligned, so connected. I am grateful each and every day, knowing that, first of all, I am living my purpose, but also there is a flow and a joy to it that is magical, and it's available to you too. So what is your purpose? Are you living it? Go into your heart space and have the courage. So what I call it, your heart guidance is going to be inspired guidance. You're going to get it. You're going to get those things that say you should become a doula giver, or you should be a Reiki master, or a florist, or work with animals, or whatever it is for you. Then you have to have the inspired action. And that's where most people fall down, is they let their ego talk them out of it. You can't do that. You can't do that. What will people think? And you can't do that. You have no experience. The best thing you could ever do is take that inspired action. And when you do, when you show up for the universe to say yes, the universe shows up for you. When you take that, wait for all of these amazing synchronicities and joy and flow and connectedness to happen. That's life mastery. That's how you work. And that's what's available here. It's the learning to trust in that courageous heart space of guidance, not the ego human part, but your higher wisdom part. So what makes a good death? A good death is a good life. I shared with you the practical components, and I shared with you, more importantly, in my opinion, how life truly works. How to have not only, again, the good death, but a good life. And that's how it works. So have the courage to step out of your comfort zone and follow where your heart is guiding you. With that, I want to invite you. I am going to be I'm honored to be part of a Q&A panel for the second part in a trilogy from When You Die project, the Saying Goodbye, Preparing for Death. So they have done a beautiful film, saying goodbye. And how do we do that? And how do we do that well? Well, I wanted to give you my take on the good death. And they asked the question, what is a good death? And so I wanted to give you the practical side of it and also the higher wisdom side of it. So on the 19th of October at 6 p.m. Eastern time, I will be taking part in a live Q&A with the director of the film, Joanna Lunn. And again, When You Die project has been an amazing project that I've been following for a long time. So I am super honored and excited to be part of this Q&A panel. So you can see the film now. It is streaming now, and you can join us for the live Q&A. And I hope that you do. I will put the link below. And of course, I just want you to know that you are loved and you matter. And this lifetime is a gift to you. Allow it to be everything that it can be, because that's the promise. Only you can unlock that. If you have any questions for me, let me know below. I'd be happy to answer as many as I possibly can. We're here together, and this journey is a sacred journey. So when we, of course, bring back the sacred awareness of death, it brings back the sacredness of life together in our humanity. And this is how we change the world. You are so loved, everyone. Thank you for being part of Ask a Death Doula, the Good Death podcast. And I'll see you in the next episode.